Good evening. Tonight, we will be discussing a very special figure in literature and the movie films. You may know him as Vlad Tepes or Vlad the Impaler, Prince of Wallachia. Come, sit by the fire and warm yourself with a little wine as we delve into the mysteries and the horrors awaiting us as we unfold the great and secret knowledge of Count Dracula.
Welcome back to the Great and Secret Knowledge. I'm your host, Jeff, and returning once again triumphantly, it is Jayme. What's up, Jayme?
Hello. I don't know. I'm on a podcast. What's up with you?
It's been 3 days. Has anything of note happened since then?
I'm a little bit closer to finishing my novel this month, and my brain is partially melted from effort.
That's good. We like to see you sweat and bleed for your art. It's the only way to do it. Not really. I mean, I guess you don't have to. I don't know. Some people pump out work even when they're happy. I don't know. They must find something to write about. I find I need like suffering and loneliness and heartbreak and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm kind of a firm believer in that. Was that quote? That which is made without effort is seldom read with pleasure. Sure. Like, yeah, we need the artist to really bleed for our entertainment.
That's right. Put it all on the page, people. Okay, so we're just going to get right back into it. Surely people listened to the last one, so unless you are the most bizarre of podcast listeners, Dracula is saying goodbye to the team because Van Helsing stood up to him, and he took his measure, and he says, "For one who has not lived even a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing." And then he fucks off.
Yeah. Which is a good comp. Like if you're looking for a way to compliment someone at work, say for, a mortal, you're doing all right.
I feel like that would cause a lot of questions to be raised from your bosses and coworkers and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Dracula doesn't give out a lot of compliments, so he doesn't know how to do it. Like the way he treats Renfield and everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps wives in the basement.
Yeah.
Are they in the basement? Maybe they're just on the same floor as Harker. I'm not sure.
I don't Yeah.
I feel
I
like he
think
doesn't take him out dancing or anything. Like, didn't he leave him in Romania or Hungary,
oh
wherever that was?
yeah. Yeah, he doesn't treat him well.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Who would have thought like a polygamist wouldn't be the best husband?
Polygamist.
Wait,
Oh,
well,
because he
multiple.
has multiple wives.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I thought of him as like spiritual wives, not like, fill out paperwork at the county courthouse wives. But the government might still want to, change their tax structure or something.
Yeah. That's probably why he makes him sleep in the basement, so he doesn't have to get going.
Hey, go over there. The tax man is here.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd eat the tax man.
Ooh, that is like that's like a life hack if you're a vampire. Like commit tax fraud. The IRS sends someone out there to investigate. Now you don't even have to leave the house for a snack.
Didn't Hannibal do that? Hannibal Lecter?
I don't know.
Like he ate a tax collector with fava beans and a light Chianti or a nice Chianti.
He might have.
Dracula is so Hannibal Lecter, or vice versa. They got a lot of parallels. Let's see. Mr. Mina was shocked. He said that Dracula looked like a wild animal. And then he looks outside and he notices a wolf. So presumably Dracula turned into a wolf. And then Van Helsing explains that a vampire can turn into wild animals.
Yeah. Harker runs out, he points, and he's like, "Oh, a large dog is off screen, so we don't have to film it." And then Van Helsing is like, "A large dog." I just want to take a moment and apologize to this Van Helsing. I think I was maybe a little bit hard on him last time. This guy's like one of my favorite Van Helsings by far. He's got such
He's pretty great.
he's like got this like stiff little like pit bull energy, and he's got those Coke bottle glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of takes over the movie. Like it's just all about Van Helsing once he shows up.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, reading the book, he kind of is like that there too, but he's got less edge because he's just so nice and polite and goes on and on and on about how virtuous everyone is. Whereas this guy is like gets to the point, probably because it's a movie. Let's see. Harker says vampires are only in ghost stories. So, excuse me. Van Helsing busts out all this vamp lore. Doesn't even try to like defend it or, point out his sources or anything. So he explains like they don't have reflections and you can, do all this other stuff. And he says he must have brought boxes of grave dirt from his homeland. And I don't know, do they know yet that Dracula brought over 50 boxes of dirt?
I couldn't really tell what Renfield was going for here.
Oh, it's only
I think
three?
it's like
Okay.
specifically 3. It is like a much bigger part. It feels kind of like one of those like open world games where you get like a quest line. It's like destroy 30 coffins.
Yeah, they get this task. There's like, they have to find all the houses where there might be some dirt. They all go out at the same time and like investigate. They search his house for papers. They find out he's leaving back, maybe going back to Europe, but it might be a ruse. That's where I am in the book. Yeah, the damn dirt. And then Renfield is eavesdropping while they have this conversation. And he explains that Mina has been attacked. And he thinks Harker should take her away from here. And indeed, we see a short clip of Mina being wrapped up by Dracula and taken away.
Mm-hmm.
So a big bat arrives. Renfield tries to apologize and warns him to escape. Was that Dracula? Did he warn Dracula to escape?
I know what Renfield was going for here.
He said, "No, master, no, I wasn't going to say anything. I told them nothing. I'm loyal to you, master." And then Harker waves the bat away. And that's when they, want to talk about Dracula. And I'm reminded that in the book, when Van Helsing tries to talk to Renfield, he's like, "Fuck off, get out of here." Whereas this one is like, "I got all kinds of information for you."
Yeah.
Van Helsing tells Renfield he should help. Renfield says he can't. God will not damn a lunatic soul. He knows that the power of evil is too great for those of us with weak minds. Is that true?
I mean, Renfield is like especially worried about his soul in this one, which is kind of interesting for like someone who's actively the minion of a vampire.
Yeah, I feel like he's unrepentant in the books or like amoral.
Yeah, in the books, it felt like he's just all about gaining these like vampire powers or, absorbing life and Hollywood machine. You have to kind of like put everything through the lens of like morality. And so if they wanted, which it feels like they wanted Renfield to be a sympathetic character for the audience, torn between, I don't want to burn in hell, but I sure do like eating spiders.
Yeah, it's very complex.
Yeah.
So the maid screams and runs over, says Miss Mina is out there dead. Renfield laughs all creepy like, and then the maid passes out, which I don't remember seeing this before. A slow faint. Just because a guy's spooky? Have you seen that before in films?
I didn't quite know what to make of that. It's also funny because like Renfield, like a minute ago, it seems like he's got his stuff together and he's like talking about some important things, and then they leave him alone, and all of a sudden, like you flip a switch and he goes, like he's full on like the Joker out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
And he's reaching out for her neck,
Mhm.
and one has to presume that he's going to make his first kill of a human.
I don't think she dies though, does she?
Interesting. Let's find out. I on my notes I said, "Is he gonna bite off a chunk?"
He pulls out like a straw.
Oh shit! That's in a Doctor Who episode, the 11th hour.
Oh, really?
The vampire pulls out a straw, and sucks the plasma out of somebody.
Oh, that's great.
Let's see. Mina's still alive. Van Helsing says she's under Dracula's influence, and we must cope with it. And we hear this creepy child crying, and then a woman walking
Yeah.
in dark woods. Who is it? It's the return of Lucy. Right?
Yeah, the beautiful
The
lady.
beautiful lady. And what was she called in the book?
The it's like beautiful Ooful or something.
Booful
Or the woman
lady.
in white.
Yeah.
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 It's one of my favorite parts of the book. They just launch off into this whole urban legend. It just goes to show like people like developing their own little like urban legends around the
Yeah.
vampire.
Hell yeah. I love it when you're watching a movie and you think, what if that thing that we all know about or we've heard about, it's something like this was behind it, you know? Gets you going.
Yeah.
Let's see. A comedy intern, that's Martin, reads the paper, and not an intern, orderly. Children describe a beautiful lady in white who enticed them with chocolates, drew them into the woods, and presumably sucked their blood. Definitely in the books. I don't know about if they say it here.
I think they imply that the kids get away here, probably more, Hollywood morality and such. I believe there's definitely some murders in the books.
They're definitely injured, at least. Well, how could she know anything about the woman in white? It's bad enough for her to read it in the newspaper. Oh, so Harker is kind of bitching that Mina is, in Dracula's thrall, and so he's getting all itchy, snarky. What's the word I'm looking for? Shirty. He's getting shirty.
I haven't heard that word before like it. I did like how if you Harker's reaction to jealous man, right? He doesn't like the way Mina's fawning over Dracula is great because I've seen this movie like several times this week, and as far as I can tell, the only time Harker does anything in the entire movie is when he gets super jealous. hearing about Mina and Dracula talking. And so he storms off in a huff and he gets himself like a cigarette or a cigar from the box. And that's how they first notice the reflection in the mirror. So if Harker wasn't so insecure, they might not have noticed that. But it's just like he really needed to smoke in that moment. He couldn't take it anymore.
You hear that, incels? You could protect us from vampires. If you just keep that jealousy white hot. Not okay. I guess you're not an incel if you have a girlfriend. What do you call a misogynist? I don't know. Do they have a name? The alt-right? Let's see. So Mina saw Lucy outside after her death. She tried to speak to her until she realized she was dead. Lucy looked like an animal and then ran into the dark. So Mina asks them to save her soul. Harker says she won't die. She says, "Don't kiss me anymore." And she tells Van Helsing to make it clear to John, "It's all over, John. Our love, our life together." Did this happen in the book? I don't think so.
The whole Mina thing goes down very different in the book. The way that Mina is taken in the book is remarkably stupid. It's infuriating. I love the book, don't get me wrong, but like this part in my craw. And thankfully the movie kind of skips it over for the most part. But yeah, they handle it a lot different. The Francis Ford Coppola movie is a lot closer to the novel in the way it handles Mina, at least towards the second half.
I'm watching Mina break it off with John. She's so good. Helen Chandler. She's just got so much charisma. I feel like she's more believable than Jonathan.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jonathan's barely a presence in this movie. Mina and even Lucy, those two and Van Helsing are like your main like non-vampire characters.
Yeah.
Seward's just kind of standing there like concerned, like I don't know what to do.
Harker just like gets his fist down and he leans his face forward at someone. It's just so aggressive.
I do want to go back to.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
I just wanted to say something real quick. Back to the beautiful lady bit.
Mm-hmm.
So in the movie, it specifies that she's luring them with candy, meaning at some point, a very dead, very vampire Lucy had to go to like a confectioner or like just bought some candy somewhere, maybe stole it out of a shop. Because I don't think she was buried with candy. So at some point she had to go get some chocolate.
Well, the good thing about being a vampire is you can like mind control somebody into giving it to you, or you can break into a place just by yanking the doorknob. So yeah, she probably just walked into a chocolate place and filled up a bag and walked out.
I want a deleted scene. It's just like Lucy going candy shopping. Being like, she goes up to the shopkeep and she's like, what would be like a good candy to lure kids into a graveyard? Like, what do kids like these days? And then, oh wait, you never heard that.
Yeah. Maybe there's a deleted scene where the first victim is a candy seller, a chocolatier.
Yeah. Oh my
Like
God.
they were just locking up the store one night and got it in the neck.
This really explains a lot about Willy Wonka.
How so?
If you think about it, there's a lot of parallels between Wonka and Dracula, right? The factory is very much like a Transylvanian castle. He's ageless. He comes out hobbling on his cane, and then he does a forward somersault, and he's fine. Yeah, obviously he just fed on maybe like one of the audience, and then after that, it's just a matter of framing people for candy crimes and picking them off one by one, and then feeding on them later.
Candy crimes. Hell yeah. Good old Willie. So let's see. Van Helsing has prepared the place to protect against Dracula with Wolfsbane Mina wants Dad to keep John from leaving. The nurse is ordered to keep the window shut and the wolfsbane near Mina. Next, Dracula is at his coffin. 3 boxes of earth were delivered to Carfax Abbey. Van Helsing tells Harker he can't take her or it will kill her. Does he mean that she'll turn into a Dracula wherever she goes, or that she'll just die?
I took it to mean that, like, he believes that he's able to protect her from Dracula, but if Harker takes her elsewhere, like, she won't have the wolf's bane,
Yeah.
she won't have Van Helsing around to figure stuff out. Yeah.
Okay, Van Helsing explains his occult knowledge. The only way to save Mina is to stake Dracula. And Seward goes to the safe for something, maybe a gun, I'm not sure. To talk on the phone. And Renfield goes, "You forget, Doctor, that madmen have great strength." Dracula has great strength, eh, Renfield? Words, words, words! And we find out that Martin once again failed to keep Renfield from escaping. Dracula must have released him.
I love how Martin apologizes to Renfield for having to lock him up. It's like, my dude, this is your job. Like, this is what you've been hired to do.
So check out this crazy shit, Renfield says. A red mist spread over the lawn, coming on like a flame of fire. And then he parted it, and then I could see that there were thousands of rats with their eyes blazing red like his, only smaller. Rats, 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 thousands, millions of them, all red blood. All these will I give you, if you will obey me.
Apparently, it takes very little to get Renfield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like in your wildest dreams, you're gonna get millions of rats. Come on. What about like chihuahuas? There's got to be something that's still tiny, but maybe like a little tastier.
I think just anything bigger than rats will be missed. He just doesn't want the hassle of people looking for their cats and dogs and things.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, if Dracula rustled up 1,000 cats, like half of those would belong to somebody, right? It would cause a big stir.
Yeah.
Unless he can call them in from the countryside, I guess.
Or can he just like materialize these things?
Ooh. Ooh, that's interesting. Can Dracula... We should look that up. Can Dracula summon rats from the ether?
Yeah.
Listener, if you know the answer, get at us. Great and secret knowledge at gmail.com. Dracula is in the house. Van Helsing, now that you have learned what you have learned, it would be well for you to return to your own country. I prefer to remain and protect those whom you would destroy. This is when Dracula tries to mind control Van Helsing, and Van Helsing is like, you can't get me. His will is too strong.
I thought there was some really good acting throughout that because you're basically staring at like two grown men looking at each other, and there's supposed to be this like supernatural battle of the wills going on. There's not. There's just, it's just facial features, but they convey a lot. And there's like a moment where you do kind of buy that like Van Helsing is about to turn, but then he catches himself, which I thought was kind of nice. He's not like totally infallible.
So, Dracula's blood flows through Mina's veins. She will be immortal. Van Helsing promises to destroy Carfax Abbey and stake Dracula through the heart. Dracula tries to summon Van Helsing. He resists, but then he starts to stumble forward. He regains control. Then Van Helsing pulls out his crucifix. Drac hisses and runs off. So here we see Nurse Briggs coming out of Mina's room. Apparently Mina didn't want the wolf's bane, said it stinks. She refused to stay put and went out onto the terrace. So Harker comes in and... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a lot of people complaining about bad weed smells in these scenes.
I got a screenshot coming your way. This might end up on the what do you call it? We'll just have to leave that screenshot for now. It's the one of her putting her hand up to her forehead.
Oh, yeah.
And the horrible smell of that awful weed. So stay tuned for that, folks.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's next? Harker comes in and sees her. She talks about the weed. Briggs wants her to come back in. She and Jonathan wave her off. Mina is enticed by Jonathan's neck. And then she claims to not dislike the night. She now says that she loves it. Jonathan starts chasing off a big bat, and she starts talking to it. Jonathan is flummoxed. And then Mina starts trying to mind control Jonathan. She's moving in.
Those eyes. Those eyes. Yeah. Yeah, she's got some eyes in this.
Those eyes. Yes, indeed. But why, my dear? Oh, he'll be wanting to protect me from the night or Count Dracula or whatever it is. She wants him to take Van Helsing's crucifix, I think. So Van Helsing rushes in with the crucifix. Mina tells him that Dracula fed her blood. And then there's a shot, and we look down, and the comedy orderly has shot at a bat. Van Helsing tells him to fuck off. And then him and the maid have a little chat. They're all crazy but me and you. And sometimes I have my doubts about you. They're all crazy.
And she's just like, right.
Oh, and then they separate from each other like in a real paranoid way.
Yeah, like either one of us could be
Yeah.
whatever. That was one of my favorite exchanges of the movie. And I kind of death of balls out goofy side characters in an otherwise serious movie. Like more of that, please, Hollywood.
I mean, that's the Doctor Who promise, basically. There's always going to be some silly comedy character. In Deep Blue Sea, I believe that's Ice Cube has that role.
There's an upcoming episode.
Yeah. It's rarer than it should be. I feel like horror movies are more serious these days, generally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, the Count returns. He summons Nurse Briggs to the window. She takes down the wolfsbane, then welcomes him in. Next, Van Helsing and... Dracula goes at Mina again, of course. So Van Helsing and Jonathan follow Renfield over to Carfax Abbey. Dracula lures Mina there as well. Renfield shows up, and he is just fucking pumped. Dracula and Mina are at the top of the stairs. Renfield's at the bottom. I almost got the sense that Dracula was encouraging her to feed on Renfield. There was this weird tension in the scene. I couldn't quite figure out what was happening.
To me, it kind of felt like Dracula and Mina were like a couple, and like they had like a nice romantic evening planned. And then here comes like Renfield, like completely oblivious to how thoroughly he's killing the mood. And he's just like, "Hey guys, what's up? Let's want to play some PlayStation?" Not taking any hints that his presence is not appreciated.
I feel like this is how all of Donald Trump's employees behave. Like they're going to be grabbed by the neck and thrown into the wall at any time. So they just have to suck up and accept their fate. I'm loyal to you, master. I'm your slave. I didn't betray you.
I'll eat a rat if you like.
Dracula just creeps down. Let me live, please. Punish me, torture me, but let me live. I can't die with all those lives on my conscience. All that blood on my hands. Ah! Crunch. Poor bastard. And he goes rolling down the stairs.
That's the tragic end of our lovable Dracula Gollum Renfeld. dying as he lived, like complaining about his death, considering all the blood in his hands.
Mm.
This part kind of stood out to me though, because so the way it's kind of played off is that Renfield totally goofed it, and he led the good
Hmm.
guys to Dracula's door, right? And like if it wasn't for Renfield screwing up and like breaking protocol, Dracula would have been off scot-free with Mina. Except this place is like literally across the street. And 20 minutes ago, Van Helsing is like, yo, I'm gonna come to Carfax Abbey. I'm gonna take out every stone if I have to, and I'm gonna kill you in your house. So I think even without Renfield leading them there, right? Am I crazy? Wouldn't they have just gone there to begin with?
Okay, if we accept the fiction of the movie, right? Accept the dialogue and
Yeah,
everything as text, we have to assume that Dracula just didn't need Renfield anymore. Like he didn't
that's fair.
obfuscate the
Yeah.
people anymore. He didn't he gave him multiple chances to take care of the situation. He was unable to do so. So him arriving here is just like, give me a fucking break. You could have sent an email. You're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really matters
Outlived his
that the others
usefulness.
followed him here, you know.
Yeah.
Like where else is he going to go? In the movie, he doesn't have like boxes of dirt all over the city.
Yeah, and in the book, it's like this whole like event of where could he possibly be going, to head him off of the pass and stuff.
Yeah. Dracula runs down to the basement with Mina, closes and locks the door. The boys rush in. Somehow they get through. I don't know how. They find no one. They hunt around a bit. For some reason, Dracula is asleep. Oh, so they get to his box. They open it up, and he's already asleep? Like, is there sunlight down here? Like, what? I
Oh.
feel like
I mean,
this might be. Well, it's unexplained. It looks like they're shooting at night, but I think it has to be daytime, or else he wouldn't be asleep. But it also suggests that there's light creeping in down into the basement, maybe through the door that they opened, and so he can't wake up.
I think earlier Van Helsing had a line where he said that Dracula's powers are active at night and they go away during the day. So it might not even you might not even need to be in direct sunlight, at least in
So
this.
he just can't help but fall asleep. He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's almost like a coma or something.
Okay. So that is a big weakness.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it that way in the book? I haven't gotten quite to the end.
God, I don't think so. It's been a little while though.
Because, like in Salem's Lot, for example, if you go into the basement, Drac's getting you because there's no light down there, so he can just walk around to his heart's content.
Yeah, yeah. In a lot of versions, it's just no direct sunlight, and it's just you want to be in your coffin to totally avoid direct sunlight, but you'd be fine just chilling out in like a U-Haul truck or something.
Yeah, but it makes me think that Dracula needs a human servant even more so then
Mm.
to manage his affairs because he can't help but go to sleep when the
Yeah, yeah,
sun's
for
out.
sure. Someone to like watch out over you.
Yeah, maybe he killed Renfield more out of like disappointment in himself, and he was just like, ah, god damn it, I really picked a boner, bonehead, whatever.
Yeah.
So Van Helsing opens the other coffin. He doesn't want to let Jonathan see Mina in there. He sends him off for a rock. Oh, no, she's not in there. That's right.
She's not in there. That's the reveal.
So he rips up the lid to make some steaks. Jonathan comes back. Van Helsing says she's not there. Jonathan goes looking. And Mina is in the corner having an experience.
Yeah.
If both
Um,
her hands weren't in frame, I would think something else might be happening.
I'm not really sure what's going on with Mina because, like, you try to imagine how this scene started before Van Helsing and Harker arrived. So Dracula, he's carrying Mina the last time we see them, I believe, So he gets in there and then he sets her down in the corner,
Yeah.
facing outwards, kind of like a reverse Blair Witch situation. And he's just like, wait here. I'm gonna go, just wait here. I'm gonna go to my coffin. He runs over there, he closes the lid, he goes to sleep. She's just like chilling in the corner, like in sleep mode, like an
I
idol or something.
think he had to rush into his coffin so fast that he couldn't convince her to get into hers
Yeah,
because she wasn't quite dracked up yet.
I could see that. Yeah.
Um, but her acting is great because, like, as soon as Jonathan has her, it's like his hug has saved her life, and she's completely herself again,
Yeah.
totally present, not weird at all. So she sold that. Harker walks her up the stairs to the sound of bells, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's it? You know? The last lines are, "Aren't you coming with us?" "Not yet, not presently." "Come, John." And that's it. That's the last line. Just going up the stairs.
Wondering what Van Helsing has to do down there is going to haunt me for the rest of my days.
Well, in the book, he cuts off Lucy's head and, like, stakes her heart and puts garlic flowers in her mouth.
It's a lot more elaborate. Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of wondering if there's some like head chopping
Yeah.
off that they definitely it feels weird because it feels like on one hand it's like a nod to the book, like wink wink. Yeah, people who've read the book, what's about to happen. But like they really didn't need to include that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, most people don't know the first edition of Dracula, he actually gives him a Colombian necktie and then puts his penis in his mouth.
Oh no.
I don't know. It was a little dark for 1850 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think back then they called that the Stoker. It was before they discovered Colombia. This is historically accurate.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yep. The Stoker necktie. I don't get to have fun names for these episodes because because it's like the description of the thing we're covering. But I've started putting possible show titles in the notes. So yeah, the Stoker necktie.
Yeah, the Stoker necktie. It's a very abrupt ending, and it feels a little like otherworldly. They're ascending the stairs. There's bells. It kind of feels like more like religious symbolisms going on. Like they've escaped this unholy abomination, and now they're ascending. The good young couple that they are. Not like that Renfield. His neck's broken. He's down at the bottom of the steps.
Yeah, poor Renfield. He's behind some boxes.
Yeah. The rats are like starting to swarm and they're like chewing on him, like revenge. Like, how do you like it, you son of a
Oh my
bitch?
God. Flies come from miles around,
Tonight we feast.
just shitting all over him.
Yeah.
The comedy orderly shows up and gets a couple kicks in.
Yeah.
Although, no, he might break down crying and be like, "Renfield, no, you were my nicest patient."
Yeah. What am I gonna do with all those spiders now?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to throw these spiders out. That's not really his accent. His accent felt fake anyway. So now it's Australian. That's Dracula. I mean, I thought we would go on longer, but that's
It's
the
so
movie.
short. It's 70 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think of like the back half of this movie? Because it feels like the two halves are very distinct.
It's action packed. Like I didn't want to like take notes, because I was like really into what was happening. But it just happened so fast. It felt like the studio came in and they were like, "Yep, you got to wrap this up. We're running out of money, so tighten it up."
Yeah.
It's certainly not like a modern film where there's a longer denouement. You might cover some of the implications.
Yeah.
Well, and in a modern film, you'd have Mina like wink at the camera or something. Or some, the comedy orderly like reaches his fingers out into the screen.
Yeah. It was like the fake jump scare.
Or the brides. Yeah, the brides come out of their, I don't know, their hotel room closet where he's had them parked. Have you seen that What We Do in the Shadows episode where they go on a trip to Atlantic City and they're in their hotel room?
No, sadly, I've only seen the movie. I really want to watch the show. I got to
Oh
get
my
caught up.
God. The show is tremendous. I believe it's on Hulu if you can gain access to that. So yeah, this one will be a little shorter. Anything from the book that you think we should mention?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that I think this movie, it might be one of the first instances in cinema of like, it really feels like what they're going for is science versus superstition. Because you have Van Helsing, even though he is utilizing stuff from legend, and the book does this too, absolutely. But like I think Dracula is the story of like people using science and at the time modern technology. Like in the book, it's trains, and you're using blood transfusions, which was essentially sci-fi when the book came out, and all this like very modern. People from a different time wouldn't have had nearly as good chances against Dracula. So it's sort of like humans have come to the point where they can finally defeat this immortal evil that has been preying on people for who knows how long. And I'm a huge sucker for that. Like my favorite movie, Ghostbusters, is essentially science versus the supernatural. And I think like a little bit of Doctor Who too. Like yeah,
Yes. Okay. What makes it science fiction is that it's hopeful that there could be a happy ending.
yeah. And the way like Van Helsing, like yeah, he's using like Wolfsbane, but the way he's using Wolfsbane is very like this magic thing. It's more of like this is what he's weak against. Like I did the research, I figured out this is what he's weak
Yeah.
against. I'm gonna put it everywhere to ward him off. But it's not like this has the power to protect you. He's not really even any faith, except for the crucifix, which is obviously related to faith.
Yeah, in the book, everybody is smart, kind, virtuous,
Yeah.
like up on the latest science and business and all this stuff. It very much is a kind of dream of the technocrat that they can like root out evil.
Yeah, and like in the book, Mina is like far from a damsel in distress. She's like this like keen researcher, and
Yeah.
she's got like this weird obsession with trains that I love. Like she knows all the train schedules. Um, and I don't think any of the movies that I have seen so far really do Mina justice, especially, good God, the Francis Ford Coppola one with Winona
Mm.
Ryder. They just turn her into like a love interest with Dracula, and like she doesn't really do much other than like look like dizzy and in love. Ah, I mean, you can be in love with Dracula and still know a lot about trains, is what I'm saying. In fact, if anyone's working on a novel about Dracula's secret love with like a train conductor, I'll read it. We'll review it. Why not? But yeah. I just so not to go off on a rant, but I just want that kind of occurred to me watching this movie. More so than I've seen it previously, is like it's kind of hard to I think it's kind of hard like viewing these older stories from like our distant future present, that back then a lot of the things they were doing would seem like high tech in the way that like these days we might watch a horror movie and someone's busting out like the ghost hunting apparatuses, and we're testing for temperature and infrared and all this stuff. Back then like a blood transfusion was sci-fi, or just like knowing international schedules and time zones and stuff. It's very like data point, using data against Dracula, which I like. It's like a nerd-friendly story.
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes has a bit of that, but this is before Sherlock Holmes. Is it 1850, 1860? Let me. Dracula Stoker. Oh, no, it says 1897. I didn't know it was so late. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it is contemporary with Sherlock Holmes. Or after. I'm not sure when Conan Doyle finished.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like this would have been about 10 years after the first Sherlock story. It was 1887.
Okay, cool. So may have even influenced it a
Yeah.
bit. That's fun. So that brings me to I don't know whether to hold on to it or just do it now. I don't want to jump to recommendations early, but there is a novel series featuring Sherlock Holmes, Mina Harker, Mary Jekyll, daughter of Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde. All the Victorian sort of monster hunter types. It's called The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter is the first one. And the next ones are European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman and The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl. The Monstrous Gentlewoman is the Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Frankenstein's monster is a character. Oh, it's just a great series.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Any final thoughts about Dracula or the whole thing? Vampires. I mean, this obviously is seminal for vampire fiction.
Well, let's see here. I mean, I think we should maybe, I don't know how you feel, but maybe we should hold off on talking a lot about the book, especially because you haven't read the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. Um, Maybe we could have like another episode sometime for that. But just like in general for vampires, I kind of think that vampires are they're my favorite monster. I would kind of argue that they're the best monster just for sheer variety. I think that there's like whatever you like in a monster, you can get out of a vampire, and they encompass so much. I mean, you've got like, I mean, everything from like a 30 days of night, they're like feral beasts, and there's like nothing attractive about them. They're just like hungry, almost like zombie-like monsters. And like the origins of vampires, there's a lot of crossover with the modern zombie, like originally, and then they kind of became their own thing. And you also have, you've got like the refined, like, I guess you could call it like class struggle, evil, wealthy dude versions of vampires, preying on lower classes. You've got like the romance angle, as Bela Lugosi definitely is to thank for kicking that off, because if you go back and read the book, there's nothing real attractive about Dracula in the novel.
Yeah, no scene of him suave in a tux eating a flower girl.
No, it's just even when he's younger, he's still a monster, And
Mm-hmm.
so there's also, of course, there's tragic vampires we can root for. Um, yeah, I think that like they just have, they're some of them are like evil wizards. Like there's just, I think there's something for everyone, and there's plenty of room for like redemption arcs if you want your vampire heroes and stuff. Uh, Hell, we even came up with like, what is it, Dampiers, like half humans, half vampires, like Blade.
Oh, that reminds me, my very last note was, is Mina now a daywalker?
Yes,
She's half vamp.
it's the Dracula sequel we need, the direct sequel to 31 Dracula. If Universal's listening, this is how you bring back your shared monster verse.
Plus, I mean, everybody likes, well, everybody that's not an asshole likes a gender swap,
Yeah.
modernization, uh, 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 a woke retelling.
The husbands of Dracula.
Ooh.
It's like what's that rose ceremony reality show? Only instead of a rose, it's like a beating heart.
Oh
And
shit.
every week, every week she picks a new Dracula husband.
Okay, I like where this is going, but it's a much richer world than I was thinking of, right? If you're trying to integrate the Bachelor franchise and vampires, there needs to be some level of like openness, right? Like people got to know Drac's a thing at that point.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a local like public access, you know, vampire dating show.
Unless it's like, okay, so it's the story starts out, right? And secret cable channel, but it's only available to the wealthiest citizens, right? And then it turns out it's a cable channel just for vampires. And so it's got all this like vampire themed entertainment. Instead of The Bachelor, we've got like the Vampshler. We've got Kitchen Nightmare, and it's just like people locked in a kitchen being attacked by a vampiric Gordon Ramsay.
Vampire Gordon Ramsay is very good.
Yeah. Survivor, you really don't even have to change the title. Just try and get off the island
Mm-mm.
if you dare. Um, yeah.
Oh, and all day they could just have fun and party because Drac's not out. Or they could, plan various
Yeah.
attempts to capture him or whatever. I think he'd have to be on a boat, right? The
Oh,
survivor Dracula.
party cruise.
Or underground. Maybe there's caves on the island. We'll workshop all this stuff off the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
Dracula 2. This is great. This is why this is why they play the game, folks. That's what I
Yeah.
was going to say. Well, Jayme, what's next for vampires? Where's vampires going to go next? Other than like going public and having TV
Reality
shows.
shows.
What's next for vampires?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I think like vampires tend to be kind of cyclic. And like unlike a lot of monsters, there's more variety. So, you have your periods of like very like glamorous, idealized versions of vampires. And then I think there's kind of like a reactionary like vampires don't sparkle. Here's the real vampires. Bleh.
Bleh, I don't like what women like. Bleh.
Bleh. I'm a cool dude. Bleh. But there's vampires for everyone, damn it.
That's right.
You know? And gosh, I would personally like to see like a return of the vampire comedy, which was real big in the 80s, and we got like a brief resurgence about 10, 15 years ago. But oh, so Netflix a few years ago had a really good vampire comedy, Vampires versus the Bronx from 2020. It's kind of like funny, like politically, like it's kind of like using gentrification, like vampire gentrification as they like take over this neighborhood in the Bronx. The characters are really fun. Like when someone dies in this movie, you actually care because they've been kind of fleshed out fairly well. And I don't know, it was a good vampire comedy, and I could use like 20 more of these a year if anyone cares to make them.
Would you like them to be in different cities or different boroughs of New York? Different monsters in the Bronx?
Oh gosh, I mean,
Different monsters versus the Bronx? Mummies versus the Bronx?
just every year, a different like wool mummies versus the Bronx. There's like massive toilet paper shortages. Damn mummies are at it again.
You could have the final boss battle in a toilet paper factory.
Yeah, yeah. The werewolf, the wolf man is like prowling, like feeding on things. I wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have to just be the Bronx, but just like I'm all for. Because like another element that I love about vampire stories is, of course, like we talked about this a little bit earlier, is, forget everything you knew about vampires. Here's the rules of this particular one. And I love, like, one of the main things I love about horror is like tactically approaching a problem, smart characters figuring out how to deal with it. It's one of the reasons I love Dracula. And I think vampire hunting stories are always fun. There's even bad movies. Like my favorite director's John Carpenter's Vampires is a bad movie. It was tampered with by James Woods in the studio, and basically isn't a John Carpenter movie mostly, but there's a fantastic scene early on where they hunt vampires by essentially like hooking them up to um oh, what do you call those like things on the front of Jeeps with the ropes, like the chains?
A winch?
Yeah, they winch vampires in their lair and then they drag them out into the sunlight.
Oh,
And
yeah.
since all the vampires are asleep, it's a very safe way to do it. And you just see this great montage of one after the other. They get dragged screaming into the sunlight. And that's the kind of story you get to tell with vampires. Like there's all different kinds of ways to find them, and I love that.
Hell yeah. That's great. Using technology. Keeping it
Yeah, there we
updated
go.
for the present.
Now I'm going to use an app to fight vampires. Ooh.
I would like to see a vampire one where it's like eyes wide shut and like maybe the good guys pose as cater waiters and
Ooh.
like slip in and waste a whole but like from dusk till dawn but with rich people. I think that could be pretty
Yeah.
fun. Oh, and maybe they eat parts of them to get superpowers or something. So it's called Eat the Rich.
Nice. They're like slipping, like they're dosing like little flasks of the blood goblets
Oh my god.
before serving them.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the bartender's just laying waste to everybody just with like maybe it's tequila, what are those called? It's margarita night. So the salt, they've dosed the salt with holy water. So they do the turn. Yeah. They get it on
I
their
love it.
lips. They're like, ah! And then, like, I don't know,
Ah.
stakes come out of holes in the walls, go flying. Crossbow stakes.
They lift up like the platter, and there's just like a steak in there, but it shoots out of the steak.
Yes. Okay, you've almost killed me. That's perfect. A steak on a steak. And now we have a replacement for a hat on a hat. We have a new thing, a steak
Yeah.
on a steak. Got some new words out of this. I feel like I could talk about vampires a lot, Dracula even more so. R.I.P. to Helen Chandler. She was a brilliant talent who didn't get to do much before alcoholism and stuff took her out. Bela Lugosi lived quite a while, but he had a drug problem, which is shown in Ed Wood. That's about all I've got left on Dracula. So let's close the box,
Yeah.
close the book. Let's close the curtain, close the,
Eject the DVD.
eject the DVD, unwind the film projector, and chain the crypt where you keep your coffins. What are we going to do now? Jayme, would you like to return and cover something else?
Yeah, sure.
Well, check this out. I'm pulling up the vast selection list, recently updated, and we're going to roll some dice. Do you like dice?
Yeah, love them.
Okay, so let's see. This was fantasy or horror. So let's first pick our thing. So weird fiction or science fiction or fantasy.
Ooh. I'm leaning towards weird or science fiction. How about you? Do you have a preference?
I like both. I can put them together. So that's 62. So we're going to roll random number generator 1 to 62. Okay. So this time you're going to pick if you want to do whatever comes up. If not, we'll move to the next one. 44. Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror?
Ooh. Yeah, I've seen all of it except for Bandersnatch because it's like 90 miles long.
Usually when we start something new, we do the pilot, and then if we come back, we'll do like our favorite episodes. That's what we did for X-Files. If it was a short series, we could go the whole thing, but yeah, unless there's a Black Mirror that you really love, we'd do the pilot, which I don't remember.
The pilot's one of my favorite episodes. Just out of curiosity, would you mind rolling again to see what like a
I'm
backup?
happy to.
Okay, cool, cool. Because I'm curious about what else is on this list.
Let's see. 55. Oh, weird fiction. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which Dave H., who's also been a guest host, owns and would reread. So theoretically, we could have a 3-person job on this one. I have read it, or no, maybe I've seen the movie. I think I've seen the movie, which is, I want to say terrible, but I don't know if that's fair. It's strange as hell.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I think I'd feel like I'd be stepping on your other guest's toes because that feels like a passion project. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's about seagulls. I mean, you know, it's bound to be odd. What's that one with owls? Like the Guardians of Gahul?
The Guardians of Gahul.
Ooh, this is weird. Discworld. Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Oh, yeah.
We've done a TV show, The Color of Magic, but we haven't done any of the books. There's also a show called, or a TV movie called Hogfather, which I believe was made before Color of Magic.
I love The Hogfather.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it several times.
What do you think?
I'd be down. So just so you know, it is a essentially like a Christmas themed movie.
Well, then we'd have to do it right away to get it ready. I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I will reach out to Dean and see if he'd like to be on. That could be a fun reunion of sorts.
Absolutely.
So let's coordinate. Okay, The Hogfather.
Hogfather.
That's fantastic. It's not on the list, but it's part of Discworld, so I'm just gonna. They don't need to know how I'm doing my spreadsheet, or this isn't even a real spreadsheet. My doc here. Moving on. Recommendations. I gave the Secret Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. I think that's the name. Is that what I said? The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. Do you have anything?
Let me see here. I just saw for the first time, I saw Ravenous. Unfortunately has Jeffrey Jones, if that's a deal breaker for you. It is in some ways reminiscent of a vampire tale, I will say, without spoiling anything. If you're into like weird westerns with a lot of blood, you might enjoy this one. You also get to see a young David Arquette in a cowboy environment, which I think is an interesting place to see David Arquette.
Interesting.
And if I had to recommend, okay, I'm gonna also recommend is I spoke earlier about how I love like the tactics of fighting vampires. Um, there is a movie that's sort of more about the vampire side of like surviving. It is very objectively like kind of a bad movie, but I love it.
What's it called?
So it's called Sundown, the Vampire in Retreat. It's a Western horror. I don't know why I'm recommending Westerns. I don't even like Westerns that much. But okay, so Sundown, the Vampire in Retreat is it's about a town of kind of like cowboy vampires who have all retreated to this one place and they're trying to be good. They're trying to drink like I think like a soy blood substitute and they're slathered in sunscreen. Everyone looks like ZZ Top. And this kind of like clueless family moves in. Uh and they're just like I don't know, it's some kind of like
Is this the one that ends with a massive gun battle?
yes, because
I
this
just
has
saw
the
a
one with
vampire movie that ends with
Bruce
a
Campbell as Van
fucking
Helsing.
brutal. Wow.
And
Okay.
It's Bruce Campbell playing like a nervous, dorky fella who's not good with the ladies, which is a very fun departure from, give me some sugar baby, Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness. Um, it's David Carradine's in it. I don't know. I mean, it's not a good movie, but it is a vampire movie that stands out in my head, if only because, Ash from Evil Dead gets to fight vampires in, duel situations.
That's fantastic. Those are great recommendations, and I can't wait to see The Hogfather. Do you have BritBox? I think it's
Yes.
on BritBox.
One of
Or
Okay,
maybe
so
it's
it's
on
on
Prime.
Prime.
I'll look
Maybe
it up.
not.
Anyway, I could stream it
And
if
Peacock if
you
you have that. And Freevee. It's
didn't know
everywhere,
where
folks.
to watch.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe it's on Philo. What is Philo? Never heard of it.
I don't
There's
know.
so many
Yeah,
channels.
looking forward to it. Okay, so it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And Peacock if you have that. And Crackle, that's free. And Freevee. It's
Peacock.
everywhere, folks.
I think I have Peacock. The daylight stopped him. Just like that. I wish somebody at the end would have been like, that was it? That's all it took? Like Renfield wakes up and he's like, this seems like it was easier than it could have been. How do people find you on the internet?
I am on YouTube as Brandolph, the off-brand Gandalf, and I just did a new adventure walkthrough where I take three random photographs that a nice person named Robot Lady Erin, she donated them basically. She made them like public domain. I think it's Creative Commons, but you can use them in your projects. And so I just loaded up three at random, and then I used them to build an entire adventure, uh, like in lieu of random tables. Just totally inspired by them.
That's a great idea. You can find us on Facebook, The Great and Secret Knowledge. You can find me everywhere at El Jefe Tacoma. And Jayme and I do Shattered Worlds RPG, which is an actual play podcast set in the world of in a game that I created. It's got zombies and robots and starships and wizards. Oh my, you're going to love it. I also have an Arts and Issues interview show that I occasionally bring back for important issues. It's called Everything is Awesome. And last but not least, Omniversal Escapades, which Jayme was on for a little while and is tons of fun. All our episodes are up on YouTube. So look up, what did we call our that adventure? Let me see here. We played Monster of the Week. We were fighting monsters on an
Oh,
island.
I can on my
What
own,
was your
dude.
guy again? Oh, it was Operation Redacted. That's what it's called. Check that out. It's fantastic. We're still doing that. Right now we're in a cowboy post-apocalyptic kind of D&D situation. And who knows where we'll go next. So join us on Twitch every other Sunday at 6:30 p.m. We try to make it on time. Just get there. Come hang out. We'll be there. And, yeah, I think that's all I'm doing. I was about to plug this show. We don't need to do that. Tell your friends. Do it for us. Plug this show.
Yeah.
Follow us on everything. And keep on loving those films.
To end this podcast, to really end it, That must be glorious.
Yes. Wonderful. A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James. Sorry, I'm looking at I just took a screenshot and it's not where it should have been. Because it looks like the statue is holding his junk, so I wanted to get a pic of that for you.
I've been looking for a tattoo, so I appreciate that. Just full on shoulder to shoulder.
This is where I'll plug in the line that you said.
Yeah, yeah, all the good lines like my what a big bat. Thank you, Harper or Harker. Is he really contributing a lot to this picture?
Harker, you tried.
Um, he valiantly stood there in every scene.
You know, when we make Dracula 2, we can make him look even wetter. You know, just even more incompetent.
Yes. He's like napping through important scenes.
How do I end these things? Do you remember?
I don't know. I've only heard one with you and Dean, so I don't really know what to expect.
I say a line from the movie at the end. Do you have one handy?
I think I said it last time.
Dracula is in the house.
Yes, master.
You forget, Doctor, that madmen have great strength. It's all over, John. Our love, our life together. That's to the right of Dracula as he says the line.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Pretty great, huh?
It kind of looks like that scene from Spaceballs. No one wants to get zapped in the junk, so covering up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's probably what inspired the movie.
It's this one statue of a guy clutching his maybe he just really had to pee while he was being sculpted.
Right, right. At the end of Back to the Future 3.